If a computer gets a virus, there's all kind of problems that will happen. You will lose your money. If you lose your computer, you have to have a backup. And now that backup needs to be encrypted. Most people don't know how to do that properly. And that encrypted backup, it's okay if you lose your computer, but what if eventually we die? What if you're not around? How do you give that to your kids? How do you make sure that your kids don't get that before you die? It was a lot of work for us. We had to prepare the new wallet, make sure it works, test it, pause deposit withdrawals an hour before, do the upgrade, make sure everything works, and yeah, it's actually a big operation for us. Yeah, pretty much. Otherwise we wouldn't let it happen, because if we think the wallet's not going to work, then that's a huge problem. So so we thought it would be smooth. I think it's very important, but I don't think it's a fundamental change. There are other blockchains that are POS already. There are other blockchains that are staking, deflationary, etc. So I think all of this is important, but it's not like earth moving. But it's definitely progress in the right. It's definitely progress in the right direction. I think what will be earth moving is when the fees drop, when the sharding kicks in, and when they can go live with sharding. That's a much harder problem to solve. So I'm really looking forward for them to solve that. I think proof of work is fine. I think proof of work. I think this whole Bitcoin is not energy efficient. Is using too much energy. It's just complete misinformation and misconceptions. It's just because we can measure the amount of energy that Bitcoin uses. But if you try to measure the amount of energy banks use, out of the buildings, the downtowns, to manage $1 trillion asset, there's no other more efficient way. The banks spend way more energy on electricity alone. And then they have all these buildings, all these trucks moving like gold, all the security guards, they hire all these people. The expense they used to manage those assets are much higher than Bitcoin. Yeah. So I think there's two things. There's the centralized businesses, which will have to be fully compliant. There's no other way, and they will have to strictly observe sanction rules, implement them fully. That's the centralized businesses, and the centralized businesses will have to implement sanction list, including addresses that are on the sanction list. These centralized protocols, I think when those kind of rules become more and more strict, I think Binance, we probably would not run an Ethereum validator. There's not a whole lot of benefit. So then the government can chase those other guys who are running validators. They can classify those as centralized businesses if they want to. But then those things may or may not be in one country, right? There may be in Russia, in China, there may be guys running those nodes. And we don't have to make that decision today. We're not saying we're doing this or that, but today we're not running an Ethereum node, all right? So so we're not involved in that. So I think for Binance.com, we're busy with getting our regulatory licenses, etc. We don't need to get involved in that. Businesses that want to run validators may not have the centralized exchanges. They may or may not even be centralized businesses. So we'll see. I don't know how it's going to play out. It's like the internet. Right? So it's like cable companies. Have we solved the cable company problems? I don't think so. Not even today. We can still get faster speed. We can get 10x faster. I still have to wait for hours to download stuff. Well, not hours. It depends a long time to download stuff. We still don't have like full 4K, 5K, 40K, 400K, high fidelity virtual environments. All of this stuff we still don't have. So the capacity of the infrastructure can always increase. So we move from telephones to cables to fiber. We can still move more. 5G is coming, or 5G is mostly here. There will be 6G. So we're not done. In technology, you're never done. I think today, I don't see one blockchain solving all layer 1 problems today. To be honest, if layer 1 is really good, we shouldn't need layer 2s, right? So we should be handling 100 million transactions per second. Then we probably don't need layer 2s for a while. And we're nowhere close to that. Even including BNB chain, they're not there. Actually, so based on the situation you described, I wouldn't go for the most promising. I would actually go chase the hardest problem, which today I think is the wallet. I think that's the main blocker for mass adoption. for DeFi adoption. So today, DeFi protocols are fine. They're very easy to use. You connect your wallet for the people who know how to use their wallet. Then you just trade. It's an order book. It's very simple. No KYC, no AML. It's very simple. But today, most people cannot store their private keys securely. The wallets require them to be technical. Your computer cannot get a virus. If your computer gets a virus, there's all kind of problems that will happen. You will lose your money. If you lose your computer, you have to have a backup. And now that backup needs to be encrypted. Most people don't know how to do that properly. And that encrypted backup, it's okay if you lose your computer, but what if eventually we die? What if you're not around? How do you give that to your kids? How do you make sure that your kids don't get that before you die? That problem is not solved. For these reasons, most people today still prefer using an email, a password, and call customer support. They still want to use a centralized exchange. I'll tell you something. To be honest, Binance.com is the biggest bridge.
Okay.
Right. So because when you want to move from one asset from one blockchain to another, guess what? The easiest way is to deposit into Binance, trade to the other coin, withdraw on the other blockchain. So we process way more than like decentralized bridges because most people don't as you said, they're cumbersome to use, and then actually they also have security problems. So I think cross-chain is very important, but it's a difficult problem to solve. But I think over time that will get better. But from my perspective, I don't think that's the most urgent problem. I don't think that's the highest impact problem to solve. Because we still have centralized exchanges that facilitate that. I think the wallet problem is the bigger blocker for mass adoption for DeFi. I think DeFi itself is totally fine. The concept works. They have risks which are clearly identified as one way, impermanent loss. Fantastic wording for it. Known risks, and most people understand it. The Luna is a very different problem. Luna UST is that's a design mistake, compounded with an operational mistake, compounded with other companies loaning other companies. It's a whole pile of problems. So that's what I call the loan problem that's in the industry, in a few industry players. But that's not a DeFi problem. Honestly, I didn't. But if I did that, I probably would do that with every coin. Ethereum's pretty big, what if it fails? Bitcoin is pretty big. What if Bitcoin is bigger? What if it fails, right? So if you look at the top 10, you can say that to everything. But if I had the foresight to know this is a particular one that has a huge risk than the other ones, I would have done something. Of course, I wasn't that smart. We paused trading for Luna, and guess what? We got a lot of complaints from users who wants to buy it. And we said, look, we deem this as high risk. They said, look, you're the platform. You should provide access. You don't tell us what to buy, what not to buy. If you prevent us from trading it, then you're causing risk for us because the price may move on other platforms. We're like, do you know Luna is being printed at exponential rates? There's now like 1,000x more Luna than there were like a couple of days ago. They're like, yeah, we understand that. We can handle our loss we can handle the loss of money, but you can't stop us from trading. So you get all kind of different, perspectives from a platform. So what we learned is, we only paused trading when the blockchain stopped functioning.
Yeah.
Right. So there's no deposit withdrawals anyway. So, but we learned is that there's a few different aspects. The best protection is to always provide a neutral market. So especially after we listed, when something happens, especially during critical periods where things are crashing, stuff like that, you absolutely should not pause trading. There's people who want to get out. There's people who want to get in. They are scalpers or whatever you call them that want to get into this high risk assets because they want to take that high volatility. They want to shoot for the upside. And they're okay with losing some money. The other side about protecting users is education. We need to make sure that the information disclosure is full. We added pop-up warnings about risks. This is a high-risk asset. Confirm you want to trade it. Confirm again. Confirm a third time, and take a quiz. And okay, fine. The education part is really important. The notice part is really important. After we do that, look, if a guy still wants to trade, if we block the guys when it's crashing, the guys who want to sell, they couldn't sell. we're protecting one side, but we're always hurting the other. We shouldn't get involved in that. We're not traders. I don't even know what decision to make. I can't even. Nobody knows if it's going to fall further or going up. Like we can't make that decision for our users. It takes a lot of work. And I've been flying around meeting with the regulators a lot. But I think we've seen the results. The results are also quite obvious. I'll give you a couple examples, right? Italy gave us a warning 10 months earlier, and then 10 months later, they give us a registration. Spain, same, warning with less than a year registration. So we were able to make that shift. France, no previous warning, but no licenses either. We're the first license in France. And today, Binance is the most licensed international global exchange. We have France, Italy, Spain, Sweden, Dubai, Bahrain, Abu Dhabi, and we also have 46 state licenses in the United States. Misconception before that saying if you get regulated, you're going to lose users. And there's also the other misconception saying that Binance become the most popular because we were not regulated. Guess what? We're now the most regulated one.
And the most popular.
And the most popular.